What's up, Entre Nation? Jeff Lerner here, and today I'm gonna talk about 6 skills that all entrepreneurs should learn that will pay off big time. These are skills which will bring more value to you, to your business, and also, I know you want this, more sales and more revenue. Remember one of my favorite quotes, it's usually attributed to Aristotle, but actually it was by a guy named Will Durant who was writing about Aristotle. He says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, but a habit." So I hope that you're committed to up-leveling your skills and learning more, making yourself better all the time. That's a key attribute of successful entrepreneurs. And while we're at it, while we're talking about such things, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and hit subscribe if you want more content about leveling up your skills and developing the habit of excellence as an entrepreneur, as anyone who's trying to go out in this world and create their amazing life. If you like this video, definitely give me a like. Let YouTube know that you liked it and it'll show it to more people. I appreciate in advance you doing those things. Without further ado, let's learn 6 skills to create excellent results in your life and business. All right, 6 skills. Let's talk about them. Number 1 is time management. Learning the science of time management will not only improve your life dramatically, but it will also increase your income. I know this from experience. I literally, the year that I committed to becoming excellent at time management, not just okay at it, not just better than most people, because most people suck at it, but really good at it, I tripled my income that year from the previous year. And when I talk about the science of time management, I call it a science because time is fixed, right? We all have 168 hours per week. The difference between somebody with a millionaire mindset and somebody without one is they have learned to manage those 168 hours per week in a very precise and analytical way. It's literally a math problem. Millionaires, successful people, wildly successful people are simply people who intentionally and consistently do the math in their heads. They are constantly thinking of ways to improve their time efficiency. How can I do things better? How can I do things faster? How can I offload the things that aren't the highest and best use of my time? Learning time management pays off big time in terms of productivity. You can learn to do more faster. You can delegate the things that aren't your best use of time. And also, I would say the number 1 thing is learning to do less. The more I focus on time management, the more I have established the primary principle, which is learning to do less. The less time I am spending on non-critical tasks and the fewer non-critical tasks that I'm doing, the more time I have for the primary revenue generating tasks. One example of that, by the way, is creating a YouTube channel and consistently shooting videos. I showed some people on a training yesterday. I said, anybody that starts producing multiple videos per week of well-researched, high-quality content, which is, let's face it, I mean, maybe 8 hours a week of time to do, let's say 4 hours per video to do 2 per week. Even if you started with $1 of ad share revenue on YouTube, I showed this example. Let's say you make $1 your first month, which you're probably gonna make more than that. And it grows by about 25% per month, which I've been doing this for a little over a year, and I think that's a reasonable number, that your ad revenue will grow by about 25% per month, your channel, your subscribers, all that stuff. If you're consistently producing reasonable quality content. I don't think my content is the most amazing quality out there. I don't have, this big giant production team and professional, editors and producers and cinematographers and lots of special effects and animators and all that stuff. But I think my content is of reasonable quality, and I've seen it grow 25% per month, roughly in the time that I've been doing it. So I showed somebody yesterday that if you start doing it and you start with $1 and you compound $1 at 25% per month, year 1 you're at like $4 or $7. I don't remember the exact math. I think it was $7. Year 2 you're at the end of year 2, another 12 more months, you're at, whatever it is, $15, $20. It's like, no, not life-changing. Maybe it was $50. But year 5, at the end of 5 years, compounding a single dollar, 25% per month, you're at like $500,000 per month. So my question was, spending 8 hours a week on something that even if it starts at $1, based on the growth curve that I've already seen, could put you at $500,000 per month in basically passive income. Is that worth it? Would that be worth your time? Again, freeing up time. If you could just create 8 hours a week, and I'm not saying everybody that starts a YouTube channel is going to make that much money. I'm not saying that growth curve is even going to continue for me. But I am saying that it's one of the most efficient and effective and profitable uses of time playing the long game that I could possibly do. But I had to free up the time. I had to create the space to shoot. And in my case, I published 3 videos per week. I had to create the time to be able to do that. That's what I mean. Doing less non-critical tasks so that you free up the time to be able to do the things that are really important. And I mean important in the long term, not just that are urgent in the short term. And the key to shifting your mindset around time is to place a high value on time. You have to ultimately learn to value time more than you value money, or at least more than your time is currently valued financially. So if you have a job where you make $20 an hour, unless you value your time at more than $20 per hour, you'll always default back to just, well, I could just go do more of my job, right? Or when I'm off work, I'm just waiting to go back to work because that's the most valuable use of my time. That's the most money I can get for my time is $20 an hour. But if you think your time is worth $1,000 an hour, then you'll be pissed off the whole time you're at work because they're shorting you by $980 per hour. And then when you're off work, you'll do whatever you have to do to recalibrate your life to get to where it properly values your time based on your own belief. You have to learn to value your time more than whatever the market currently values your time. Make sense? You can't ever go back in time. If you miss a birthday party with your family, you're not gonna be able to go make up that time. If you're not there for somebody because you were too busy, you're not gonna be able to make up that time. And the number 2 essential skill is persuasion. All successful people know how to persuade. They've learned how to influence their family, their peers, their customers, their staff, their team members, themselves. They know how to influence to create belief. To have any successful business, you need to be able to persuade, let's say, an investor why they should invest in your growing company, an employee why they should work hard for you, your customer why they should buy from you, yourself to get up every day and do the work. It's about knowing how to transfer belief in any given situation. The famous author T.S. Eliot said over 60 years ago, business today is all about persuasion. And he is just as right now as he was 60 years ago. It hasn't changed, and I don't believe it ever will. The power of persuasion is timeless and is a skill that will pay off today and even 60 years in the future from now. Now, the next few skills that I'll talk about are skills that every business needs specifically to increase sales. You have a choice as an entrepreneur. You either learn the skills yourself or you outsource somebody to do it for you. My personal recommendation is to simply do both because, and then ultimately get to where you outsource. But when you outsource, you have to have the skills yourself so that you can quality control and manage and make sure that you're getting a good service from whoever you outsource to. Okay? So the number 3 skill is copywriting. And copywriting is all about knowing how to persuade an audience through words, through language, through writing. And copywriting is a huge skill. It's maybe the most valuable specific skill in business. It's certainly one that's been essentially valuable for me. I've made millions of dollars because I know how to write words that sell. Think about the internet. It's all advertising is either word or image based. Think about a YouTube ad. I run YouTube ads. I spend a lot of money on YouTube ads. If my words didn't convert ultimately into sales, I'd be out of business. Every advertisement, even if it's an improvised script, there's still a specific outline, a specific framework, a specific understanding of copywriting that's baked into the structure. And copywriting permeates everything you do in business, especially online business, writing emails, the landing pages, the order pages, anything related to a website, your ads, your video ads, your copy ads. It's at the foundation of everything. If you like selling, if you like money, if you want to have a business that doesn't go out of business, you have to learn copywriting. And I actually have a video on this exact topic called How to Become a High-Paid Copywriter. You can check it out. I'll put the little frame or thumbnail above and maybe a link in the description. And definitely check that out. Copywriting is a huge skill. There's not a more essential skill for being successful in business. And the number 4 essential skill goes beyond copywriting in the written word to just simply learning how to sell. So we talked about having compelling copy to attract customers, but what about actually closing the sale? I guess it makes sense. The most important skill to learn for increasing your income is to actually close sales. Estee Lauder, the great billionaire cosmetics icon, she said, if you don't sell, it's not the product that's wrong, it's you. And here's the, you'll find this attitude across tons of really successful business people. They're not scared of sales. They love sales. They embrace sales, and they take personal responsibility for their product or service selling. It's not the product or service, it's them. Have you ever met a business person that had zero sales that was successful? You've probably never met a business person that had zero sales at all, because if they have zero sales, they're not a business person. So the question to you, and I deal with this a lot in people that I work with, are you actually willing to learn how to sell or to sell better? Now I got to assume that's a yes, or else you probably wouldn't be the kind of person that watches my videos. So assuming it is a yes, there are two things that you need to know to sell well, or things that you need to do. The first step is you have to know how to actually close the deal. And that's all about transference of belief. You have to understand the value of your product or service and be willing to convey it or to transfer it to the person on the other end. And let's say you're taking the approach of making a direct phone call. Well, first, you want to make sure that you're talking to the right person. Somebody can't receive the value of your product or service if they're not a person, and this may sound self-evident, but if they're not a person that can receive the value of your product or service. If you haven't qualified them, if you don't know that they're the right kind of person, or that they have the right need, or that they're actually ready to buy a product or service like yours, there's no way you're going to be able to effectively transfer the value. So you need to put systems in place, like forms, surveys, webinars, anything that is a step-based process that allows them to take some of their own time to declare their readiness, or to show basically what we call micro commitments, show that they're actually an eligible candidate for what you sell. This, again, like I said, this is called micro commitment, and it's an extremely essential part of what I would call the modern sales process. Back in the day, you could just corner somebody and talk them into doing something almost against their will. But why would you want to do that, right? Ben Franklin said, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." Like, why would you want to brute force your way into getting somebody's money when there's better ways to do it? Ways that, especially in the era of social media and everybody lives in a glass house, you're going to be outed if you're a bully, right? So let's say you get somebody through a series of micro commitments, then you hop on a call with them. Well, now you're back to copywriting, only it's a different kind of copywriting where it's a script, right? You have a scripted sale, or at least a preconceived script structure. If it's a face-to-face sale, obviously you can't read a script. But there's still going to be a preconceived structure, if not an outright script, which leads people to a yes or to a no. And by the way, it can be great to lead people to a no, because you want to attract the right people, and you want to not attract the wrong people. If it's a no, you want to let people have the option of no, and then you can move them into what's called a retargeting sequence, or you can even have redirecting scripts that bring them back around. Sometimes people feel empowered with the ability to say no and not have it end the conversation, right? Again, think about a date. Not to advocate for this, I don't want to get in trouble, but the first no isn't always really a no, right? So the second thing that you need to learn is the concept of sales funnels. And this kind of goes with the micro commitment concept, but sales funnels are basically automated processes that lead people to the point of sale and essentially remove a lot of the work so that you can focus on having good selling conversations. This type of automation is the fastest way to scale a business and make more money. I believe in the modern world that all entrepreneurs need to not only learn the skills of closing sales, but also the skills of building sales funnels. So let's talk more about what funnel building actually is. That is our fifth skill that you need to learn. So number 5 is funnel building if you're taking notes. So you've been on YouTube a while now, right? You're watching videos. This probably isn't your first video. I'm sure you've come across ads, they call them pre-roll or mid-roll ads, that play during the video that offer you to click a button inside the ad, right? Well, that's likely the first step of getting a funnel. You're probably not going to just click that button and then have a checkout page where it's okay, I clicked the button and now I'm going to buy something. That wouldn't be very effective, right? There's probably going to be a video, there might be an application, there might be a survey, there might be a form, there might be a series of steps, there might be an opportunity to make a phone call or receive a phone call. There's going to be some sort of sequence, right? That's the sales funnel. The first step of getting somebody to take action or be interested in your business is to lead them through this process called a sales funnel. And many companies have just a website, right? They just build a website. They spend a lot of money even to have somebody design this really pretty website. And they wonder why they're not making lots of sales online. And your website may be really attractive, but if it's not leading people to a sale, it's because you haven't gotten the customer being led through a funnel. And a sales funnel is just a series of action steps that basically cleverly lead customers up to the decision point of buying. So, like I said, it could be, the forms, surveys, it could be, okay, read this article. And then, and you got to think about funnels in really micro terms, like, okay, I'm going to have them read this article, then I'm going to have them click this button. What's the button going to say? What color is the button going to be? What exactly is it going to lead to? What's it going to ask them to do? I'm going to have them, let's say, watch a webinar, watch a sales presentation, okay? How long is it going to be? If there's a button to buy, is it going to be there the whole time, or is it going to appear after 12 minutes? Let's say the video is 40 minutes long, but it actually talks about the product at minute 22. Am I going to have the button appear at minute 22? These are the things you think about in terms of your funnel. But whatever it is, whatever step they're on just leads to one next step, just leads to one more next step. It's a chain that's one link to the next link to the next link to the next link. It's not a website that's like this cloud of options that just confuse people. Here's the thing, when you learn how to build funnels, you can actually provide this as a service. It's really powerful. Or you could, if you have a business, you have an offer, get a funnel built for your company. And I promise you, it will blow your mind what this does to sales. And if you want to learn more about funnel building, you can actually watch an interview that I did with a guy named Blake Nubar, who is the #1 funnel creator inside a platform called Clickfunnels, which is an online funnel building software. It's a really powerful interview. It'll educate you a lot more about sales funnels. And the number 6 skill that I believe all business owners should embrace is consulting. Whether you ever plan to be a consultant or not, it's kind of like the best way to learn is to teach. The best way to grow as a business is to either provide consulting or to think like a consultant, step outside the business. Like they say, instead of working in your business, step out and work on your business and try to evaluate your business through the lens of a consultant. Sometimes I have a good friend who says it's the hardest thing. It's really, or she says it's hard to be the coffee in the cup. You got to get out of the cup and look at your business. This is a powerful skill to be able to grow your own business or certainly someone else's. As entrepreneurs in such a fast-paced, dynamic, rapidly changing world, your skill sets have to adapt with time. That's the other reason consulting is so important, is it gets you out of the box of saying, what do I already know how to do? And into the box of what else do I need to learn how to do in order to have value? Because as a consultant, you're expected to know things that the service provider or the consulting client doesn't know. So if you're trying to consult yourself, it's going to push you to have to learn things that you don't already know. And one of the biggest things you'll learn in trying to step out and think like a consultant is that the ability to communicate determines probably the majority of your success. And that's such a valuable thing to realize when you step back. And then when you step back into your business, if you up-level your communication, you'll find that it will permeate all the aspects, all the results of your business. It'll permeate your sales, it'll permeate your copy, it'll permeate your customer conversations, it'll permeate how you work with your employees or your staff or your team. Communication is everything in business. And the greatest skill to learn about communication, it's not having all the right words and just using the right cadence or the right pace or pregnantly pausing. It's actually listening. It's one of the hardest skills to learn, and it's one of the most valuable skills to learn, is to just shut up and listen, right? How many times have you asked somebody a question, but you don't really want to sit down and wait and listen to the answer, right? And they can feel it. You're feeling too busy, especially with clients or customers, right? You're feeling too busy to actually hear what they have to say. They feel like you don't care for them, that you didn't fully connect with them. At the end, you miss the opportunity to actually hear what they want or hear what they need. And frankly, if you're having a sales conversation, listening is how you find the keys that will unlock the door or unlock their purse strings, their wallet, right? They're probably, if you'll just be quiet, they'll tell you why they want what they want or what they actually want, so that you can then use that as knowledge to help close the sale, right? As the Dalai Lama says, so saith the Dalai Lama. When you talk, you are only repeating what you know. But if you listen, you might learn something new, right? Pretty helpful when you're trying to close a sale. So let's talk more about consulting, right? Like, you're going to step out of your business and be like, okay, what would I teach myself if I were my own consultant? I'm gonna suggest that in this day and age, the most powerful thing you could probably teach yourself is about digital marketing. I'm talking about how to run ads, how to write good copy specifically for platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn, so forth. And I say this from experience. I run a successful online business. I'm perceived as a successful digital marketer. I use these skills every day in my own business. I get deals brought to me all the time, and I get people hitting me up directly who've seen my results online and assume that I know a lot about digital marketing. If I wanted to start a consulting business now, it would be very, very easy to do. I have people offering me equity in their company. I have people offering me significant consulting fees if I would kind of take on their challenges and solve it for them. The value, if I sit down with somebody and I help them script out a high converting webinar, that could be a $10 million value service that I provide, right? And so if I said, well, I won't do that for less than 100 grand, there's companies that would pay it. Now, I'm not in the agency business. I'm not in the consulting business. But if you have proven digital marketing skills, you literally write your ticket in the world we live in, because there are so many more businesses than there are legitimate digital marketing experts. And the thing is, it's not that hard to learn these skills. You don't have to learn that much to know a lot more than the average business owner. And the thing, in great marketing, it's not going away anytime soon. If you become a good digital marketer in the world we live in, I believe you'll have, call it job security, call it contract or business security, both in your own business and by helping other businesses for probably the next 50 or 100 years. So anyway, we have now covered the top 6 skills to learn to create excellent results in your business. They were, just to recap, time management, persuasion, copywriting, getting better at selling, building funnels, and training yourself to think like and learn like a consultant. I hope that you implement these skills in your business. Hope you implement these skills in your life. Let me know, if you would, comment below if you invest in any of these skills, which ones pay off, what you're doing, what you want to learn. Feel free to ask me questions. I love answering questions. This is the one place in my life I don't have to charge you for answering questions, right? So please ask them. And if you like my content, again, please consider subscribing to the channel. I do post currently 3 times a week, and I really do my best to give valuable, useful information for people that are just trying to up-level their life. And honestly, you never know which video might change your life. I'm frankly surprised sometimes at the videos that get the most watch time and the most engagement. I never know. If I knew, every video would be exactly what people want, but I do try my best. So subscribe to the channel, like the video, please, if it gave you some value, and I appreciate your time. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.